Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. It's time to begin our English class. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We're here for another Speak Now English class. This is going to be lesson 4. We're going to have a lot of fun today. We're going to talk about what you do and as you were saying something. So we're going to talk about and all of those other fun things that come around with that. Yes, we are going to have a good time and talk about many things. But as I was saying, we're going to go back and study and have some fun today. So let's get started. Here we go. Today, we're going to start off with first a little bit of Know Your English Grammar. I know that's everybody's favorite time of the day. We're going to start off with a little bit of English grammar. Then we're going to get into the student book. We're going to work into everybody's favorite part, the workbook. Okay, everybody's most enjoyable part, the workbook. Okay, the part we have to get done, the workbook. And then we're going to get into the wrap up and put it all together. So let's go into our grammar for this week. Now, this week's grammar is highlighting the difference between there, and there. Now, in the first 2 weeks, we talked about is, it's, and it's, your, and your. Now, we're talking about there, and there. There are 3 different theirs that we use in English. The easiest one to find out whether or not we're using it correctly is they are. This is a contraction just like it is and you are. If you can take out there and put in they are, then you're going to use the contraction. The other 2, this is where it gets a little bit confusing. Whether you use there, T-H-E-R-E, or there, T-H-E-I-R. The easiest way to remember is when you're talking about a location, you're going to use here and there. But if you take the T off of there, guess what? You have here. So if it's location, you're going to use E-R-E, here and there. Otherwise, if it's possessive, you're going to use E-I-R. So that is how you distinguish there and there, easiest way to do it. Now, we're going to go into our student book today. We're going to talk a little bit more about things that we've been doing for the last 2 weeks about describing what people can and cannot do and what their characteristics are like. So today, we start off with a little bit more of vocabulary, everybody's favorite part of... No, everybody should be happy with learning new vocabulary. Now, we've got words like respect, courage, compassion, sacrifice. Now, these words are what we use to describe different things about people's personality. Respect. Respect is what you give to someone else. You cannot expect someone to give it to you. You have to give respect first. Respect means that you understand and you accept what that person says and who that person is. Compassion, showing that you actually understand and can work with someone else. Your determination. Determination means you're going to go out, you'll get it done. You get your work done, you get it out there, you're doing it all the time. You're determined to do it. Honesty. Now, honesty is when you believe in doing things the right way. You don't believe in taking advantage or taking something that does not belong to you. Kindness, showing that you can be nice to someone or something. Now, courage. Courage and bravery are often confused, and people think, oh, courage and bravery means that you're not fear, you have no fear. And that's not actually what they mean. Courage is not the absence of fear, but doing the right thing even in the presence of fear. That is what you get when you have courage. Sacrifice. You're going to give up something in order to work something else. In life, we have to make sacrifices. We can't make it through life without having to give up at least something. So sacrifice. What can you give up to do something else? One of the things in my own personal life, I tend to sacrifice sleep so that I can do a few other things that I like to do. I don't like to sacrifice sleep, but sometimes I have to. Part of what you do, the choices you make in life. Friendship, getting to know and being close to someone and offering yourself to someone else, not necessarily romantically, but definitely as someone that you would feel close to. Loyalty. If you've ever seen a dog that loves you, dogs definitely show loyalty. Loyalty means that when you are at your best or at your worst, they're going to stay with you. They're going to be somebody who's there with you all the time, even if it's something that's like, well, maybe it's not that good. But loyalty is usually your stick with the person that you believe in. And sportsmanship. This is probably the one that honesty and sportsmanship and fair play go very well together. Sportsmanship, you follow the rules, you try not to break them. So now look at these values. Now there are 10 values there. Which of the 3 are the most important to you? Now, they can be different from mine. Mine would be honesty. I value honesty, determination, and loyalty. I believe that those are the ones that are the most important, followed by respect and sacrifice. So if I had to pick 5, those would be the 5 that I would pick. At the bottom says, learn what values are important to you. Think about what is important to you. Discuss it with your mom, your dad. Talk to them about what values you have. All right, now we're going to listen to a conversation between Megan and Derek and a situation that comes up. Now, I've had this situation come up with me many times in my life, and I have always done the right thing. I have never done something that would be, how do I put this, dishonest, but I've tried to follow an honesty policy. So now let's take a listen and see what you think about this conversation.
Lesson 4. As I was saying, page 8. Conversation. A. Listen. Why didn't Megan keep the change the sales clerk gave her? What did the sales clerk do for Megan?
Hey, Derek. It's me. You'll never guess what happened.
What?
Well, I was in a department store today, and I found a new dress. When I paid for it, the sales clerk gave me too much change. She gave me a lot more.
Sorry, but can I interrupt for a second? Did you keep the change?
No, of course not. That wouldn't be honest. I gave it back.
I bet she was happy.
She was. I didn't want her to lose her job. She was so grateful that she offered me a special discount.
She gave you a discount?
I tried to refuse, but she insisted. I've never experienced such kindness from a stranger before.
All right. Now, I have worked in retail, I've worked in many places, and I've had this happen to me. And I've had this where I have received the extra money. Actually, here in Korea, I've received it several times. And I always go back and I give the money back. And some of the people look at me as like, why are you giving me money? I'm like, you gave me too much change. And they're like, okay. They're a little confused by it. You should go back. This is my way of thinking. You should go back. You should give back the extra change. Yes, you may say, "Oh, I've made extra money," but when somebody loses money from their drawers or something like that, they can end up losing their jobs. So it's always good, be honest, because you never know when you're going to be the one that that needs someone to be honest and come back. Everybody makes a mistake. This is part of our life. Everyone makes mistakes. So don't be afraid if you get back the wrong change, go back and make it right. And if somebody gives you too little, make sure you count it out. Look out what's there. Make sure that you get the right amount. All right, now we have 4 sentences. Isn't that nice? Did you accept the discount? It's pretty amazing. I know you do the same thing. Try putting them into the right places into this conversation. And there's only really one way that all the sentences can go in there. There's a couple ways that you can put a few of the different sentences in different places, but let's see what you can come up with. Now, interrupting. When we interrupt, we want to make sure that we are not getting in the way of doing something that we're not supposed to. There's a nice and polite way to do it. Excuse me, or, oh, I'm sorry, may I? Asking someone for permission to interrupt them. You've already interrupted them, but you want to get some clarification. Feel free in our class. Always ask me for clarification too. Say, teacher, I'm sorry, what did you just say? Can you do that one more time, please? Don't be afraid to ask me. There is nothing that I'm going to be able to say. You can just say, teacher, this is good. This is great, but objection! Can you explain that one more time? I'll be glad to go back and ask or tell you what I just said again and again and again and again and again. There's nothing wrong with that. So important to be comfortable, not necessarily interrupting people all the time, but learning how to do it politely. All right, now we're going to take a listen and listen to Rachel and how she's talking to her 4 friends and about the different values of what she thinks is important. All right, so let's take a listen. While you're listening to this, also think about how many times her friends interrupt her.
Did you read that story about the woman who works 2 jobs to help pay for her kids' education?
No.
She's amazing. She works as a school nurse during the day, and then at night she works at a hospital. She works about 70 hours a week.
Sorry to interrupt, Rachel, but why was the story important to you?
Well, I admire that she was sacrificing her own happiness for her kids. That's a value that's important to me. She thinks of others before she thinks of herself. What do you think?
I guess I don't see it the same way. I think she doesn't spend a lot of time with her kids, and that isn't always good.
That's a good point, but her kids are in college.
You seem to feel strongly about this. What other values do you find important?
Oh, there are several. I really look up to and respect my parents, and I hope that others respect me.
What else?
Being sympathetic is also important. I think we all have to try to help each other.
I think sportsmanship is important, and friendship. What do you think, Rachel?
To me, kindness is more important than friendship and sportsmanship.
Can I ask a question? How can friendship not be important?
I'm not saying it isn't, but what I value is kindness. I expect that from my friends and hope other people are kind to me. Do you see what I mean?
I do. I feel the same way.
Okay. Now, one of the things I want to express about these emotions and the things that you want, before you can ask for people to give them to you, before you can ask for respect, before you can get kindness, they're the traits you have to give first. You can't expect people to be kind to you if you're rude. You can't expect people to respect you if you don't respect yourself or respect them. So be sure you do the items first before you try to demand or ask for people to give it to you. All right. Now, speaking about your values are yours. These are the things that make you who you are. And think about some of the values that you have. Where did you learn them? Where did you learn your values from? Most of the values that I have, I learned from my mother and father. There's a few that I've learned from other people, but your values and things you've learned, who's taught you them? One of the things that I was taught, not by my parents never insisted on this, but when I was growing up, I grew up in Texas, and in Texas, answers were always yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, is that you always showed respect to whoever you were speaking to. And this was something that I learned from not only my friends, but also from my teachers and the people I was with. So it's a good idea. Go ahead, learn some things, come up with your own traditions, your own ways of doing things, and find out your values, because that is what's going to make you who you are for the rest of your life. All right, so now, ladies and gentlemen, to everybody's favorite section. Yes, that's right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go to the workbook, and we're going to have some fun. Okay, we're going to have a lot of fun. Okay, well, we're going to work. We're going to do our work and get our workbook done. Now, today starts off, read the conversation and try to use one of the vocabulary words that we talked about earlier. Put them in and see if you can make it fit the right situation. So 1, I don't understand this homework at all. Don't worry, I'll help you. What could we put in to describe that feeling? We could use compassion, somebody who's going to help them. Some kindness, they're going to help them figure it out. Friendship. Okay, we got a lot of things we could put in that might describe that situation. Go through, read the conversations, and put in what you think is the best description of what's going on in that little sentence. Now, there are a total of 9 questions there. Go ahead, take your time. Some of them can be more than one. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. So the reading section. Now we're going to talk about the heroes, and we'll do this in class 2. So be ready to talk about your heroes. Now, note this is hero, not superhero. We're not looking for superheroes. We're just looking for heroes. Now, heroes can be anybody that's around you, but somebody that you look up to and somebody who's done something that you admire. So here, my hero. Heroes come in all shapes and sizes. They can be army generals, presidents, or police officers. A hero is someone who changes your life, maybe even saves it. My hero is a 12-year-old girl whose name I never knew. When I was a child, I had many problems. I wore glasses and was funny looking. I had red hair that stuck out all over my head. I also had a speech problem. I couldn't say the letter S. I was smart, but I never talked at school. The other kids teased me. They called me names. Sometimes they pushed and tripped me. I hated school. I hated myself. One day, a couple of the boys started to push me around on the playground, and they threw my books on the ground and ripped my homework. Other kids stood around watching, but no one did anything. Suddenly, a girl pushed her way towards the 2 boys. "Stop being bullies," she said. They laughed at her, and she wasn't afraid. She picked up my books, and she handed them to me. Teasing didn't stop that day, but my fear did. Her compassion and kindness gave me courage to stand up for myself. So, a good story, how you work and defend yourself. Now, everybody's favorite section. Oh, come on. This is everybody's favorite section. I know it's your favorite section. I promise you. Now, why was the writer teased? Go back, look at the story. Tell me the reason. How common do you think bullying is? probably a little bit more common than you think it is. Have you ever experienced bullying? And the answer probably is most of you have experienced bullying at least once in your life. I know I have. Now, I want you to describe your hero. You can use a real person, and I encourage you to do someone you really know. And tell me, what are the qualities that that person has that you admire? Now, it says to exchange with a classmate for part 3. You can exchange with your parents, your dog, or bring your information to class, and we'll talk about it class side. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have done a great job. You've had a chance to go through and take a look at all these fun things. We've talked about your English grammar. We talked about what you need to do. We've also talked about your student book as well as your workbook. Wrap it up here at the end, and you get all that material in one fun and exciting place. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, that's going to bring us to the end of this video. I hope you've picked up some positive traits and are able to use them in your daily life. Until our next class, have a great and wonderful time, and I will see you in class. Bye-bye.